ever watch a movie and find the actors or actress attractive and starts to imitate them? If so, then congratulations. Or maybe not, because you are at the start of a parasocial relationship. My name is Amalia Ariela Misazana, and I will explain to you more about parasocial relationship in my speech. So what is parasocial relationship? Well, basically it is a one-sided relationship where one person feels like they know someone so well that they're in an actual relationship with, whether it is romantically or not, with the other person, which most probably the person that they idolize with. So let's take Putra, for example. Putra loves Ariana Grande. He knows her favorite song, her favorite movies, her favorite color, and many more, right? He idolizes Ariana Grande, and he idolizes her to the point where he feels like he knows Ari in a personal level. Whereas Ari, he doesn't even know that he existed. Ari noticing Putra back is like Ari noticing the dust at the corner of her mansion, which is most probably impossible, right? So do you guys notice why I said this is only the start or the beginning of a parasocial relationship? Well, it is because although it is weird, it is not harmful. Because let's be honest, you guys, we've all been there. We have the same matching haircut, we have the same outfit style as our idols, we buy their merch, right? So it is not harmful when it is only stopped at imitating. However, it is different when it doesn't stop there. It is very harmful when a person starts to take approach or action into their parasocial relationship. So tell me the difference between Putra saying, I really love Ariana Grande. I find her very talented because she can sing. I even brought her merch yesterday I just saw Ariana Grande yesterday and I found out her address. I will go to her house this evening and say hi because what's the worst that could happen, right? I think we can all agree that the latter is much more dangerous, right? That is what happened when you as a person cannot control or cannot set a boundaries. So how could this phenomenon start or have become this big? Well, my first answer would be social media. Because with social media, it is very easy for us to be obsessed with our idols, right? Because in social media, everything is exposed. We can see our idols' routine with just the pictures they send, the videos they send on their page, whether it is Instagram or TikTok. So it is very easy for us to be obsessed and driven into that parasocialism because of social media. So how come can a person have this much feeling with a person they haven't even met in real life yet? I know most of you will probably think it is because of mental illness, but I would like to say that it is incorrect because there is multiple other reasons why before we can conclude that it is because of mental illness because parasocialism is actually far more common than you think. One of the reasons is being loneliness. A socially awkward person tends to find comfort in a parasocial connection because it makes them feel more human and not alone in this world, right? So the other reasons are like caring or having a crush, scared of rejection, or basically idolizing the other person, right? But, however, I would like to say that it is unhealthy if a person starts to become overly obsessive and starts to having social withdrawal just because of the person they idolize. And this can be avoided by limiting exposure to social media or your idol, and then prioritizing real life relationship, and the most important one, setting a healthy boundaries for yourself. So, in conclusion, a parasocial relationship is actually far more common than you think. It can be as subtle as Levin having the same matching haircut as Clark Kent or having a Batman figurine in his room. But it is the dangerous one that we should be worrying, right? And that can be avoided by many things that I have talked about, but most importantly, setting a healthy boundaries. So my name is Amalia Ariela Musazana, and thank you for listening to my speech.
Good morning, everyone. There are approximately more than 1,300 ethnic groups in Indonesia, with its own language, characteristic, and culture. And this diversity is our strength. Unity in diversity is a concept that we must apply in our everyday life. But with this strength came its weaknesses, came its challenge, which is tribalism. So, what is tribalism? Tribalism is a loyalty to one's ethnic group above all else. This word is also used to describe a situation where people are overly loyal to their own group, followed by negative feelings toward outsiders. Therefore, it influences how people think and how they treat each other. My name is Nafal Fauzi, and today I want to talk about how tribalism affects our society, and I want to convince you all that overcoming this challenge is essential to our generations and to our progress as a nation. First, let's look to the origin of tribalism. Tribalism began to develop in the early human life to survive. People relied on their tribe for food and safety, and also for identity. But tribalism is not necessarily bad because it is our nature, and back then it was necessary to survive. And Indonesia itself, tribalism has a massive impact. During the pre-colonial era, kingdoms often competed for power and land, and they will see other kingdom as an enemy because they are not part of their tribe or their culture. Even after independence, this behavior is still shape our ideological thinking and our social routine. Tribalism has a very strong impact on our society. It influences how people think, form opinions, make decisions, and even on making friends or choosing allies. And tribalism is often leads to stereotypes and discrimination. For example, job applicants from a certain ethnicity will sometimes face bias using insulting words to a certain ethnicity, racism tension towards Papuan students in Java's big cities, and even in politics, etc., etc. In some regions, candidates use their ethnic identity to gain vote, and when they do the campaign, they often use slogan like Putra Daerah to gain more vote and to appeal more to their tribal community. This is very concerning, and it weakens our national unity when people overly prioritize ethnic identity over national success. Our peace as a nation will be disturbed. Confrontation or conflict will arise between groups, and social trust between each ethnicity will collapse. For example, in 1998, in Indonesia, there a riot, a resentment towards Chinese people that caused violence. In 2001, Perang Sampit between Dayak and Madura caused hundreds of people to die. Ambon conflict in 1999 till 2002 caused over 5,000 people to die, and it took years. It took years to resolve or to restore this social relation and stop the development on this country. And as today, there are some regions in Indonesia that still experiencing this ethnic conflict. So what do? We must address how to overcome this challenge, how to overcome tribalism. For me, education is the key. School should really teach about Indonesia's diversity and value. Not just as courses that need to be learned, but we must apply it on daily life. Most importantly, every one of us must start with ourselves. We must start to think differently. We must start to treat people, to treat people as individual, not as a representative of their tribe. Yes, tribalism is root in Indonesian society. Yes, it weakens our national unity, but it's not impossible to overcome it together. With education, understanding, dialogue, and responsible leadership, we surely can turn this diversity into strength. Indonesia's future depends on our generation and our ability to stand as one. Everyone, let's build this new version, better version of Indonesia for generations to come. Thank you very much.
My name is Aryo Putra. I would like to ask, how many of you that think gay people are annoying simply because they're gay? How many of you that think people's personality is fully modified by their sexuality? Do you think it's the right step to judge others based on the stigma that flies around the air? There's an old saying, sexuality doesn't define a person, which we shortly will address. But what does it mean? When there's discourse around sexuality, people jump straight to the stigma that their sexuality entirely affected their identity or them as individuals. And that's when they are wrong. People fail to realize it's important to be aware and consider every aspect of a person that made them who they are today. Although sexuality does have influences on people, it's not the only thing that shaped them. I would like to start with the definitions of sexuality. What is sexuality? I gather around some definitions and encounter the words feelings and attractions a lot. That if we conclude, sexuality is feelings and attractions that we feel for other people, whether it's sexually, romantically, physically, emotionally, and so on. When we talk about sexuality, people usually relate it to identity. But are they really related? Cambridge Dictionary defines identity as who a person is, the quality of that person, or the characteristic of a person. So, to simplify, identity is who they are and what they are like. For example, an ex-user retweeted a tweet that has a picture of Ariana Grande and others, one of them being her brother Frankie Grande, in a roller coaster with a caption that questions, how can people hate Frankie? My focus immediately shifted when I saw user at the Diva Season reply with, cause he's pushing 40 and acting like 19-year-old twink. Another user replied to it saying, because you all despise unapologetically flamboyant men. Weird. The original user behind the rude comment blatantly replied with, yes. If we want to talk about how I receive it, I was offended, honestly, even when I wasn't the one who's being talked about. Frankie Grande is a kind human being that has done so much in his life. He's a board member of a non-profit LGBTQ advocacy organization. He's co-founded the performing arts charity Broadway in South Africa, and he always shows his support for his sister. His identity doesn't just stop at him being feminine or gay, because even though sexuality is a part of identity, identity is still built upon by many other factors like personalities, values, stances, educations, cultures, etc. We can't just determine others' identity solely based on their sexuality. Besides, there are much more important aspects that you can look up to when determining others' values, like their talents, skills, and achievements. Even in Frankie's case, he's a very talented singer and actor. He has starred in many movies and musicals, 2 of them being Broadway, mind you. Moreover, the philanthropy and charity work of him that I mentioned before. Does the hate stop him from giving his best to the world, to his community? It doesn't. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what should be seen from within a person. Frankie's hard work is what defines him as an individual, his stances and his moral values are what make him a human. Imagine if you still view Frankie as some gay dudes who you won't be associated with. Not only it's super disrespectful because you're not being considerate of him, it also shows how shallow your view and respect on other individuals. So, does sexuality define a person? We've talked about how it relates to identity, but identity is multifaceted or complex, and sexuality is not the only thing that shape identity. Talents, skills, and achievements are more worth consider in terms of social values. Plus, I would seriously question your range of respect if you still determine a person only from their sexuality. So what should you do then? Be a respectful human being. Put yourself in their shoes and try to walk their path. Then you will understand that sexuality is a part of them, but not what defines them. Thank you.
Be confident, stay bright. You are the main character of your own story. Those are a few encouragement most people would say. But the sad truth is, every day we live our lives in the blanket sheets. If we try to get out of it, we'll feel cold. But staying covered make it stiflingly hot for us. It all feels wrong because every time we try to do something, every action seems wrong. Even just a slight change can be bad in their eyes. Regardless of how deeply we're hurt, we are forced to hide it because it appears to be a terrible thing. Take a piece of this paper as an example. Look how smooth the paper looks. The edges are sharp. We can even get a paper cut out of it. It is perfectly shaped. How about we fold it onto this side? Or maybe we could crumble it into a ball and play a catch and throw game. I think I don't want to play anymore. I have a homework to do that needs a paper to write with. Let's just uncrumple this. So you see, it is still indeed a paper, but it's all wrinkly now, and the edges aren't sharp anymore. Imagine this as someone's feeling. When you involve in a lover's quarrel, you accidentally blurted out sensitive, sharp words. Then when you realize it, you apologize. But it'll never be the same for them. It will never be. Yes, they forgive you, but can emotions be easily erased? The answer is no. To begin, please allow me to elaborate on the definition of appearance-targeted bullying. So, according to antibullyingalliance.org.uk, appearance-targeted bullying is a bullying that targets a person's in an aspect of appearance, such as size, height, and disfigurements. This bullying can also often linked with other types of bullying, such as racist bullying, sexist bullying, and also the bullying of LGBTQ plus young people. For today's occasion, I will be focusing on body bullying. Did any of you guys here ever get commented on for your looks or maybe body proportions? How does it feel? I'm not talking about compliments here. Could you envision how painful it was to hear the same repetitive puncturing words every day? It sure directly affected our own understandings of our own bodies. It also makes us feel not good enough as a person because we can ever meet their standards in all kinds of aspects, especially in appearance. According to Baulerta, bullying is known to be a serious psychosocial problem that negatively impacts a person or a victim. Bullying is also considered to be one of the main factor or the main risk for development of psychological and psychopathological symptoms not only in childhood or adolescence but also later in adult life. Specifically, research has found that the victim of bullying more likely to experience academic difficulties, anxiety, psychosis, depression, self-harm or suicide ideation, and also post-traumatic stress symptoms. Corresponding to previous explanation, this can lead into a decline in self-worth and self-confidence. Losing self-worth and self-confidence means losing the capability that you have. It also losing the trust within yourself. Losing trust in yourself means that you can't even do the smallest positive things that can bring good impact to your own self. Remember, words are more powerful than you think. We can't even see a glimpse of hope even in the darkest alley. Words also can lift you up high like you feel in the cloud 9, but then drop you hard on the surface once you're up high. Remember, the victims can also be the initiator. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, Mrs. Thursday and all my dear friends. My name is Saida Rizky Putri Chantika, and on this occasion, I would like to deliver a speech as a midterm requirement for the public speaking course. But before I start, I would like to introduce you to my beautiful boyfriend, Nagakita Yuma, who will accompany me throughout the entirety of my speech. Wait, what's that? You guys are doubting our relationship because he is a K-pop/J-pop idol and I am just an ordinary people who's a fan of him. And he doesn't even know about my existence? Come on. Anyway, a little information about us. We have been together for more than 2 years. And you know what? I still can't get enough of him. Like, I watch his YouTube video, Reverse Live, and performance video every single day without a skip. I even feel overly devastated when he doesn't give an update or on Twitter or Reverse. Like, that is how much I love him. This right here, what you have just witnessed, is what is considered as parasocial relationship. If you haven't heard about this term before, worry not, because the topic for my speech today is parasocial relationship as a coping mechanism. The first thing I would like to cover is the definition of this term. Parasocial relationship is a psychological condition where a person develops a deep emotional connection with someone they do not know personally, most often celebrities, media personalities, or even fictional characters. Despite being one-sided, parasocial relationship could be an escape from stressful situations, since the deep emotional connection formed with the media figure might provide comfort to the individual. That feeling of warmth and comfort is what helps people feel less lonely by offering a sense of companionship in their dark times. However, you may be prone to the negative effects of parasocial relationship if you have a pre-existing mental health condition or unhealed trauma. As I have acted before, there is a line between being a casual fan and forming a parasocial relationship with celebrities, media personalities, or fictional characters. Being a casual fan means having a fair amount of contentment toward media figures. However, you need to be mindful if you experience the signs that may have developed into parasocial relationships. According to Therapist.com, these signs include feeling a strong emotional connection to a media figure who doesn't know you, feeling like your connection to them grows as you consume more of their content, viewing them in a positive light despite not knowing them personally, experiencing emotional reaction to their successes or failures, seeking out information about their personal life, feeling defensive when others criticize them, imagining conversation or interactions with them, feeling a sense of loss when they're not active on social media or in the public eye, prioritizing consuming their content over other activities, feeling like you understand them better than others do, and the last one is experiencing jealousy when they interact with other fans or celebrities. So, if you feel this way towards celebrities, media personalities, or fictional characters, and you personally feel the negative impact of it, I have tips you might want to consider doing. First one is set boundaries on media consumption. Restrict yourself from engaging too much with the media figure's content. Be attentive to your emotional investment when consuming their content. The second one is nurture your real life personal relationship. Focus on strengthening the bond between yourself and your real life friends and family is more important than the parasocial relationship. Third one is practice self-reflection. Ask yourself why you are so attached one particular figure and why you need to fulfill this desire. The last one and the most important one is seek professional help if you feel overwhelmed with your emotion. So as we can conclude from my speech, parasocial relationship might be beneficial to you to a certain extent given the comfort they provide, but if you experience a deeper emotional connection that has affected your life negatively, you may consider some strategies to keep your sanity and mental well-being. Also, you have to remember to contact a professional the moment you feel overwhelmed with your mental condition. Like Mariska Hargitay once said, healing takes time and asking for help is a courageous step. I think that's all I can say about parasocial relationships. I apologize for any mistakes made during the speech. Thank you so much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Levin Afrizal, and here I'm about to deliver you a speech for my public speaking assignment. My speech has a title called Hold On to See That Rainbow. Think for a moment about the last time you got really caught in a really hard situation, when you couldn't see any light, not even some glimpse of it, when you felt like nothing matters, when you didn't know where to take a step. In the grumbling storm, it felt like you have no umbrella. The wind was blowing and you were just soaked. All you can think about is how to get out of the rain. It seems like God has always a way to send us into these storms, right? It might not be rain, but it feels just as heavy. A lot of things just somehow won't come together, full of sorrow, anger, and most definitely, disappointment. In those moments, the easiest and the most tempting thing to do is to let the rain win. But the thing is, storms won't last forever, right? Let's think of a real rainbow. Most of the time, you can't see it while the rain is heavy. You can see it when the storm is over. The moment the sun manages to break through the clouds, with the light hitting the remaining raindrops, that's when you can feel the warmth. Our lives work the same way. The rainbow can show up the exact same way. That breakthrough you've been looking for, it's maybe on the other side. The joy you've been waiting for, it will feel even brighter contrasting with the gloom you're experiencing right now. Holding on doesn't mean we're pretending that the storm isn't happening. We have to acknowledge them, but we have also to take a step anyway. Just like what Superman said, I wake up every morning and despite not knowing what to do, I put one foot in front of the other and I try to make the best choices that I can. So, if you feel like you're in the middle of this storm, feeling cold and hopeless, I want you to keep going. Keep being punk rock. Today is raining. Tomorrow, there might be a thunderstorm. But one day, I really hope the sun comes and you will get to see the rainbow by yourself. And in that moment, I hope you will turn around, you look at the sky to see the light, and you'll be proud of yourself for holding on all this time. So, just like what the title is called, I want you to hold on to see that rainbow. That is all for me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.